Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Last time we did, Shisui of the Violet Tides, the dungeon, and Kurenai said she wanted to tell us a truth she had kept hidden. So, the hour of truth is upon us, yet I'm unsure where to begin. The Ruby Princess who quietly slumbers on, she... Perhaps it will be easier to explain if you could look upon her as we speak. Please follow me. Shisui will be bringing her out shortly. He should be but a few moments longer. Oh, Hisui, why? Why do you refuse to open your eyes? Serenia, there is something you must know. I'm not the Ruby Princess's younger sister. In fact, she has no sister. I am the Ruby Princess, ruler of Suinosato. The slumbering girl before you goes by the name of Hisui, and is my dearest friend. We have known each other since childhood. Your Grace, I'm entirely to blame. Had I been more prepared, more aware, Lady Hisui would not be in this sorry state. You see, a few days ago we received visitors from the outside. They had come to perform a court ritual. To protect the Ruby Princess from any potential dangers, we decided to conceal her true identity. I had her lady-in-waiting, Hisui, take her place, as she and her highness bear great resemblance to each other, something owing to the fact that they are distant blood relatives. I was confident no one would notice the switch. I was right. That is why, when proceedings commenced, it was Lady Hisui who became possessed by the terrible fiend they summoned. And now? Well, you can see for yourself what has become of her. To mitigate such disaster, severe restrictions on who can enter and exit Shisui of the Violet Tides have always been in place. In fact, even the Ruby Princess is forbidden by law to leave its gates. When wave after wave began appearing, however, I was left with little choice. I whisked Her Highness away to the village and had her pretend to be the Ruby Princess's sister Kurenai. Kurenai. That was the name I had before my mother passed away, and I assumed the title of Ruby Princess. It was also the name Hisui would call me by growing up. For as far back as I can remember, she was there for me, from the best of times to the worst. All the laughter and tears we shared. Hisui, is this truly where it ends? Forgive me, Your Grace, this is my fault. If only there was a way I could go back and prevent all this. Shisui, there's nothing to forgive. None of us could have predicted this would happen. You are no more to blame for what happened than I am. Serenia, now you know everything. I hope you do not think any less of me for my lie. Now that everything here has been settled, I shall be departing from Suinosato. The cure to Hisui's condition can only be found above. I know this because, as Ruby Princess, it was my duty to study all the available writings at the palace. Very well, Your Grace. Where would you have us go? No, Shisui. I shall be embarking upon this quest on my own. You will be staying here. The people need you to protect them in my absence. Her Grace made it clear she would have me remain behind. Mistress Serenia, might you accompany her in my stead? While Lady Hisui's body remains, her soul has long departed. I fear that no amount of rest or magic can cure her. I can only hope that in traveling with you, it will make it easier for her grace to come to terms with the tragic fate of her friend. Until such a time she must face this truth, however, I ask, nay, beg, that you keep her safe. You're offering to accompany me on my travels? That is incredibly generous of you, thank you. I shall give you some time to prepare before leaving Sunosato. Please come find me as soon as you're ready to go. You're ready to depart? Excellent. Let us make for Onokoro. I believe we will be best be served by beginning our search there. You see, while we have next to no contact with the outside world, we do receive the occasional visit from the Kojin of the Blue. During one such visit, I was given a tome filled with fairy tales. It was old, worn, and from what I have been given to understand, written in Kugane. In it was a story about a fisherman who sailed the Ruby Sea. While traveling, he came across a princess who had fallen into a year-long slumber. She was eventually awakened upon taking an elixir of some sort. What intrigues me, however, is the fact that many of the places which fishermen visited exist in the real world. It makes me wonder if perhaps this story is rooted in reality. The tale begins in Onokoro. I trust you will escort me there? Thank you. Now let us depart without any further ado. Apologies, my friend, but I will not be able to help you right now. I must give this young lady a tour of our island. So this is Onokoro. It is a lovely place. The people here are incredibly warm. Take this gentleman, for example. As soon as I set foot on the island, he offered to take me on a tour. What are you looking at? Death stare. So you're going to stand there and ignore me. Is that it then? Wait a minute. I know you. My comrades talk about you all the time. My apologies, madam. I was only just joking with you. Of course, one can never have enough rich and powerful friends. That is why I approached your young charge. Figured if I helped her now, she'd someday return the favor, should I ever need it. So, what brings you to our island? You're looking to learn more about a fairy tale. I know nothing of fairies or tales, but mayhap I can direct you to someone who does. I have a fairy. There's a fisherman who visits us once a year to hunt for treasure. Some of the men here say he is as old as the sea themselves. I reckon he, of anyone, would be able to tell you your story. Luckily for you, he just arrived the other day. You should be able to find him at the Quick Escape PM. Thank you for your assistance, sir. We will go speak with him right now. Not to worry, little lady. Just be sure to remember my name and pay me back when the time comes. Serenia? Did this kind gentleman ever give us his name? I don't think so, no. Without a name, I'm afraid I will be unable to send him payment for his help. It is terribly unfortunate that there is little that can be done. Now let us promptly make for Quick Escape Pier. We do not want to miss the fisherman. Hello there. Is there something you need? The Tale of a Fisherman at the Ruby Sea. Ah yes, indeed. It has been a long time since I have heard that one. I believe it was my great-grandfather who told me. Or perhaps my great-great-grandfather. Or perhaps... That's all good and well, sir, but could you please tell us the story? Ah yes, my apologies. Let us see if I can remember how it went. I very much hope you have not forgotten. You might never know the whole tale if you have. The tome I received as a child was so tattered I could only read bits and pieces of the story. I recall now. Once upon a time there was a fisherman on the island of Onokoro who saved the Kojin of a Blue from the maws of a terrible beast. As thanks, the Kojin offered him a vial of liquid. When taken, it would allow the fisherman to plunge into the far depths of the ocean without drowning. It was there that their journey together began. They visited temples and palaces and villages under the sea. They met all manner of men, women and creatures, including a beautiful princess who had fallen into a deep, deep slumber. According to her people, she had been like that for years. Hearing this, the Kojin pulled out another vial containing an ancient Tamamizo potion, which had been passed down to him from his great-grandfather. Or perhaps his great-great-grand... to continue the story, upon being given the mixture, the princess was instantly awakened. The moment their eyes met, she and the fisherman fell in love. They were immediately wed in a palace at the bottom of the sea. They lived happily ever after. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to recount that regaling tale. It was truly enlightening. Serenia, from what we heard, I can only assume the story took place at Shisui of the Violet Tides. Perhaps we should return to Suinosato and see if we cannot dig up any mention of this incident. Again, thank you very much, sir. You are a man of great wisdom. I believe she just bowed before him. But I covered her, so I'm not entirely certain. While I know little of what life is like on the surface, it seems to be a lovely place. The people are incredibly kind. I grew up listening to stories of how pirates would slit your throat the first chance they got, but those on Onokoro seemed rather cordial. Or perhaps I have your presence in part to thank for that. Shisui shall be joining us shortly. Most stories in Suinosato are passed down orally. He would be able to tell us if any of our own stories matches the tale the fisherman recounted for us. A tale in which a Huron fisherman and a princess were brought together by a Kojin and wed in a palace under the sea. It sounds almost as if it is a story about Shisui of the Violet Tides, though the part about the Ruby Princess marrying a hero might be something of an embellishment. To the contrary, Your Grace. I believe generations back, a Ruby Princess and a Huron man were once joined in holy matrimony. The son they bore was said to have had almost no scales. Until now, I had considered it merely be a tall tale, spun by the elders for their grandchildren. Yet it is possible that the story is true. Then, there's a chance that the remedy also exists? It is not impossible. Your Grace, I must apologize to you. If I were being completely honest, I thought all hope for Lady Hisui's recovery was lost. What you tell me, however, has revived my hope. You are a born leader. Through your action, you have reversed all our fates. That is incredibly kind of you to say, but without this wonderful lady beside me, I would never have come so far. Indeed, Mr. Serenia, please accept my deepest thanks. So long as you are here, I can rest knowing her grace and our village will remain safe. Now, Your Grace, I suppose you are about to announce your intention to travel to where the Kojin of a Blue reside in search of its miracle cure? I wish you safe travels. Serenia, at long last I can see the light. Shisui might finally be saved. Let's hope it is that easy. Serenia, are you ready to go? Good. Then let us immediately set out for Tamamizu. While Sunyosato has for the most part isolated itself from the rest of the world, we have had some little contact with the Kojin of the Blue. This, however, will be my first time visiting the village. You've been there before? Excellent. Then you should be able to show me around. Tamamizu. It's not so different to that of our own village. Now, where should we begin our search for this ancient Kojin remedy? We should ask some of our acquaintances for advice. While I've met some Kojin during a stay in our village, I'm afraid I cannot recall who any of them are. But wait! Perhaps I spoke too soon the merchant who gave me the tome. If I'm not mistaken, he goes by the name of Inben. Let us go search him out. Seek him out. Search him out. It has been many years, so it is difficult to be absolutely sure, but I think this is Master Inban, the merchant I told you about. Inban, that is my name. Do we know each other from somewhere? Does the name Kurenai ring a bell? Kurenai, I remember now. You're the little girl from the palace. People grow so fast, they do. You have changed so much I scarcely recognize you. Master Inman, I'm glad to see you have not forgotten me. We have sought you out today to ask you something regarding the book of fairy tales you gave me long ago. I remember that one. What would you like to know? You're looking to find a cure for your sleeping friend. A most noble cause indeed. I'm an avid collector of ancient tomes, and one of them is the exact remedy you speak of. An elixir that can wake those who have fallen into a deep slumber. Truly? Then might you share with me the recipe so I can recreate it? The recipe should be easy to find. The necessary ingredients, on the other hand, not so much. What do you mean? To make this potion requires the shell of a bloated umemi. A giant umemi that has had over 100 years to mature. Decades have passed since one of these was last spotted. Your only hope now would be to capture a umemi larva and wait 100 years for it to grow potent enough to make your cure. No, that cannot be. It's too early to give up. You're absolutely right. Just as you saved Shisui of a violet tides against all odds, so too must we rescue Hisui regardless of how hopeless it seems. We will find this mystical creature no matter how hard or long we must search. Perhaps it is as you say. If you were to look hard enough, you will find one. If you are serious about this, I would suggest you begin your search in exile. It was formerly considered a prime hunting ground for these creatures. Kelp was often used to lure them out of hiding. Then I shall go and gather some straight away. Good. Gather the most succulent stalks you can find and take them to the cave. If any bloated Umemi are present, they will immediately be drawn to you. Or perhaps you should have this one when you take them. You appear to be as strong as our gatekeeper you do. No doubt you will be able to make quick work of whatever appears. Serenia, I shall meet you at Exile in a bit. Kelp in hand. Thank you. Let's go. I made sure to collect the longest and most luscious stalks of kelp I could find. Here, the hunting grounds Master Iban mentioned are in the deep recesses of a cave just over there. From what I gathered, the bloated Umemi's great age is what allows them to accumulate an incredible amount of magic, most of which is concentrated in their shell. We can only hope that, should one be here, it will be tempted out of hiding by the sweet smell of its favorite food. Ah, leave me in peace. Whoa. Okay. Second try. Peace. A mixture of concern and curiosity brought me here. How's the hunt going? Serenia, Master Iman grew worried and kindly came to check upon us. Did you have any luck in the cave? Is this what I think it is? You did it, Serenia. You have procured a bloated Umemi shell. Perhaps the very last one in existence, even. So this is a shell rumored to be capable of curing any ailment. It looks nothing like a regular Yumemi. That you were able to find one so quickly makes me wonder if a bloated Yumemi is not as gone as we think. Mayhap they simply began burrowing deeper into the earth in response to our excessive hunting. I must make up for this grievous miscalculation. Please give me the shell. I shall make the remedy you seek and deliver it to Tsunosato. It may take some time to prepare, but should be well worth the wait. Thank you very much. Now Shisui might finally be safe from eternal slumber. Hopefully. Hopefully he isn't screwing us over. Serenia, once again I'm in your debt. Together, let us return to Tsunosato that we might share the story of your success with Shisui. Shisui has been duly informed of all that happened. When I told him of how you slayed the bloated Yumemi, his eyes went wide and his mouth dropped. Rarely do I ever see him so surprised. But again, he has every right to be. Your efforts have allowed Master Inban to set upon making a remedy that should, in theory, have been impossible to recreate. Which reminds me, I believe I owe you an apology. You were only to escort me to Tamamizu, but due to my own inability, you were forced to do so much more than that. Truly, I do not know what I would have done without you. In addition to saving my people, you have opened my eyes to the world. Through you I have come to learn so much. When I finally return to Shisui of the Violet Tides and reassume my role as the Ruby Princess, I shall look back fondly upon the memories we created together on this grand adventure. Until such a time that Shisui awakens, however, I shall remain here. I sorely hope that you shall too. Serenia, Master Inman has yet to arrive with the elixir, but we must not allow ourselves to grow impatient. It will come to us as soon as it is ready. The longer we wait, however, the more I worry about Shisui. Shisui assures me she's doing well and that, thanks to one of our own ancient remedies, her bones and muscles remain strong. Even so, I feel compelled to confirm this with my own eyes. Let us go to her. Having her brought from her room. It should not be much longer. Looking upon her, I'm reminded of a ruby princess from the fairy tale. What causes you to continue sleeping, my friend? Initially, I feared the voidsent that possessed her had driven her soul from her body. Now I suspect Hisui's spirit is simply gone dormant. It is attempting to recuperate from the trauma it endured. Master Inban's elixir will likely restore what vitality has been lost. Indeed, that is correct. Master Inban! I have brought the elixir. In the olden days, we would sprinkle this over the eggs that refused to hatch. It would serve to strengthen the soul of a Kojin within. Sprinkle? Do you mean to say Hisui does not need to drink this remedy to recover? Drink it? There's no need for that. All we need to do is pour this over your friend. Here, I made plenty. Use the potion. Huh? Hisui! You're awake. Thank for coming. You're finally awake. I'm sorry for everything. Princess? What are you talking about? To think that you had to travel so far and overcome so many obstacles to save me. I know not how to thank you. Nay, 'tis I who must thank you. Think nothing of it, Princess. As your lady-in-waiting, it's my duty above all else to ensure that you are protected. Oh, Shisui, truly I am blessed to have you in my life. The girls, they are identical. I cannot for the life of me tell them apart. Indeed, there is a great resemblance. Mistress Shadowstar, now that Lady Shisui has awakened, Her Grace must return to the palace and resume her duties there at once. While I will ask that you say your farewells to her here, I do hope that this is not the last you will see of each other. I have watched Her Grace blossom into an intelligent and capable young lady under your care. It has made me think that being sequestered in a castle is not the best way to raise our rulers. You have saved us in more ways than I can count and taught us so much. Suinosato is forever changed because of you. Thank you. Thank you for everything. So it is here that our grand adventure together draws to a close. I, however, would like to enjoy your company just a bit longer. Please allow me to escort you to the gates. Must return to the palace soon. There are people to learn that the Ruby Princess left the palace, you will risk losing their trust. I shall forever cherish my memories of our travels together. Whenever I look back upon them, they will fill my heart with a serene happiness. You came from afar and braved the depths of the sea. Also, you might rescue a sleeping princess. The story has a familiar ring to it, does it not? Indeed. And just as with a tale of a fisherman, perhaps someone somewhere has recorded our story too. Sadly, this is where I must part ways with you. It is time for me to return to the palace. Farewell, Serenia. Farewell. Suinosato. Farewell, Serenia. Farewell, Suinosato. Or rather, until next time. With me to take Her Highness's place while she's away, I do not imagine it should be too hard for her to sneak out whenever she pleases. Even she has difficulty telling us apart. All we need to do is exchange clothes and no one will be any the wiser. To prove my point, here's a quick test for you. Look very closely and tell me, am I Kurenai or am I Shisui? Go closer? No. I noticed they had slightly different eye color, but I can't see it from this far away. If you thought you could tell us apart by your clothes, you are mistaken. Just earlier we switched swapped garb and I am in fact Hisui. Despite the numerous journeys we embarked on together, it seems even you can't tell us apart. Hisui, let's leave it at that. I think perhaps we have teased Serenia enough for one day. Just as you have guessed, I'm the real Kurenai. You were always incredibly perceptive. Now, truly, this is where I must leave you. Life is a long and winding journey, and I'm certain our paths will cross once again in the future. Until then, I ask that you keep on smiling and maintain that wonderful disposition of yours. Fare you be well, my friend. And with that, also this episode ends. It was rather enjoyable. For a simple side story with no plot, with no relevance to the main plot. Anyway, until next time, when we continue playing Final Fantasy XIV, I'm Mace and don't get lost.